Are you ready?
Ready.
All right, let's go. Kevin here, top 1 financial advisor and best-selling author. We are here to talk about the stock market. All right, so I made a mistake in the previous video. I went ahead and made that one private and want to refresh that content and video here today. So question was, what is the difference between stock symbol GOOGL, which is for Google, parent company is Alphabet, and then GOOG, which is also for Google and Alphabet? What's the difference between the two, and why is this even a thing? So the answer is actually quite simple. GOOGL is the one that has voting rights. One share, one vote. The other, GOOG, does not have voting rights. That's really it. But when we talk about the stock market and voting rights when it comes to those specific companies, let's talk about why this occurs and why it's even a thing. And there are other companies that do this as well, or at least have some mechanism similar to this. So remember, if I am starting a company like they did at Google and other places, basically you're saying this is my company, I started with my own money, maybe I got a loan from family or a bank loan or something like that, but this is mine. I am a 100% owner of this. But when I'm ready to grow and hire tons of people and get the best equipment and all that kind of stuff, going public is one of the ways that you can do that. And you can share ownership with other people. That's how you get stocks, because when I buy into the company, I become a small owner. And every stock that I get to vote on certain company proposals. For example, some of the popular ones are, can a CEO get a different bonus? Who is going to do our taxes this year? Stuff like that. But in many cases, and depending on the company, some founders say, look, I founded this company. I know what's best for the company. I want to maintain control, because the more shares that are out there, the more that you buy and somebody else buys, I lose my power, and y'all may not know what y'all are doing. I want to make sure that I maintain that control. So in a case like Google, stock symbol GOOGL is the one that has voting rights, and those shareholders are the ones that every year you'll get a statement or you'll get an email that says, hey, look, we want you to vote on X, Y, and Z. If you own shares like GOOG, you don't get those voting rights. Now, here's the thing. The performance, the thing that we most care about, I don't really care that much about who does what in the company, because I'm a really small shareholder. Like, the few $1,000s that I have in it is not going to add up to the tens of millions that BlackRock owns, or the founders of Google own, or the CEO, or people who have worked there for several years. I may never have millions of dollars in Google. I'm just not, okay? So I don't really put a whole emphasis on which one should I choose. Personally, I have GOOG. I think that was the one I started off with the free share on public, and I just kept adding on to that. And the performance between the two is very small. I mean, we're talking like less than 0.5% difference between the two, depending on what time frame you're looking at. So it's not something I really put a whole bunch of weight in. I put more weight on dividends, which neither of them pay, and they are both doing a stock split, in case you were thinking about that as well. So it's kind of like, whichever one pops up first is the one I'm going to buy. It does not, I repeat, does not make sense to buy both, because it's literally the exact same company, so it doesn't really make doesn't make much difference there. But in either case, there are, so that's share class A, then you have share class C, so that's the GOOG, the GOOGL. Then there's a class B that me and you cannot get, and that is a 10-for-1 voting rights, and that's pretty much for the founders. So in either case, the people who founded Google, Larry and Sergey, they're gonna run the company the way they want to run it, based on their shareholder power, because they get 10 votes for every one share they got, and they got most of the shares. I don't. So personally, I don't care between the two, and in most cases, it doesn't matter. But there's something else that you should know. Again, Google is not the only company that does it. There are several companies that do. They have a private share class for particular shareholders. Other companies, I don't remember if it was Coinbase or Robinhood or one of the newer companies that came out, had a non-voter shares, not shares that people couldn't vote on, which again, it's really not that big a deal, because us small investors don't have that much power anyway. Even collectively, we don't have that much power, because they have, it's their company, and they want to ensure that they're going to have the most shares in either case. That's actually quite normal. But a case like Berkshire Hathaway has two different share classes. You have Berkshire A, which is the one that as of yesterday was $529,000 per share. Yes, I said that correctly. As of yesterday, it was $529,000 for every one share of Berkshire A. Then I think it was in 1998 is when they came out with Berkshire B, which most people call Baby Berk, and that's around $300 or so depending on what day you're looking at it. And at the time, Warren Buffett said that he wasn't going to do stock splits. He wasn't going to do all that crazy stuff to make the stock appear cheaper. He wanted the company to grow. He wanted the share price to be extremely high because he wanted long-term investors. He wanted institutions that aren't going to trade the stock. He wanted people who own the company to have the same mindset that he does, is I buy a business, I hold on to it, I'm not into the day-to-day trading. And honestly, that makes sense, and that kind of gives you an insight to why stock splits, regular stock splits, happen. It's because it makes it cheaper and it makes more people want to jump in on it. Whereas if it is something that is not split and it's $3,000, $4,000, $10,000 a share, that really tells you that if you could have afforded one share of Berkshire Hathaway, you weren't gonna just day trade it and get in and get out tomorrow. No, you were holding on to it because you're not trying to move that type of money that quickly. You want to get it, you want to hold it, and hopefully it just continues doing what it had been known to do, which is to grow pretty quickly. So that is one difference. Now the voting class for that one, different than Google, different than a lot of these newer tech firms. But again, that is why it occurs. Again, the difference between the two, GOOGL is the one with voting rights. GOOG is not. In yesterday's video, I flipped those and made myself look real stupid. But thank you to the person who pointed it out first on public. I was able to edit that post, make it correct. And then actually in the description of yesterday's video and in today's video, they're identical. I had it right in the description and did this whole video for like 10 minutes. And kept getting it wrong. So I apologize for that. I'm not perfect. I'm a regular person just like y'all. But that is the answer to your question. To the person who asked me via email, I do read the emails. I do. So I wanted to get out there and give you this video and give everybody the answer to that question. All right, that's it for me today. I'm also doing another video today, or maybe it'll come out Saturday. We'll see. About my just quick quarterly review, what's going on with the market, and what do we expect moving forward, because the quarter is over. It's April 1st, all right? So this is a decent time, a decent opportunity to adjust your portfolio. So stay tuned for that. Like, subscribe, do all of those housekeeping things, and I'll talk to you later. Bye.